Hi, I'm Julie, and welcome to Leadership Clearly podcast. I've been leading teams, building brands, and navigating complex leadership environments for over 20 years. And here's what I know to be true. Leadership gets heavy when clarity is missing. This podcast exists to help leaders slow down, think clearly, and lead well through real-world challenges. Each episode is designed to encourage you, challenge you, and remind you that strong leadership is built through consistency, courage, and care. If you're leading people and carrying responsibility, this podcast is for you. Well, hey there. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to talk to you about something so exciting. If you've ever walked away from a conversation as a leader thinking, that's not what I meant, or why didn't that land the way I expected? I want you to listen closely. I'm getting ready to launch something new called the Clarity Code. This is a 5-day communication bootcamp designed to help leaders have stronger conversations and lead with confidence. It's simple, practical, and affordable. And if communication has been a friction point for you as a leader, this is for you. You can join the waitlist now. Just head to the link in the show notes. Or you can go to juliewagner.co/bootcamp. Okay, now grab your coffee, grab your journal or your note-taking device, and let's dive into today's episode. Today's episode is a master conversation. This is not because it's complicated. It's because it's foundational for every leader, no matter who you are leading. We are talking today about hard conversations, the ones leaders prepare for, the ones leaders avoid, and the ones leaders underestimate. Here's the truth most leaders miss. Hard conversations do not end when the meeting ends. What feels like one moment of clarity to you can feel defining to the person sitting across from you in person or on a Teams meeting. Scripture affirms this weight. Proverbs 27 tells us, better is open rebuke than hidden love. Faithful are the wounds of a friend. Faithful wounds. That word matters. Faithful wounds imply care, intention, responsibility, and follow through. Not just honesty, not just boldness, but stewardship. Today, we're going to slow this down and go deep into why hard conversations are more impactful than we realize, and how leaders unintentionally mishandle what comes after, and then last, what it looks like to lead in a way that builds trust, courage, and growth over time. Hard conversations land deeply because they threaten something fundamental in every human being: belonging. Most employees are not afraid of feedback. They're afraid of what the feedback means. When a leader initiates a hard conversation, the subconscious question is rarely, how do I improve? The subconscious question is, do I still belong here? This is why tone matters so much. This is why timing matters so much. This is why presence matters more than precision. Hard conversations do not just correct behavior. They challenge identity, confidence, and safety. James reminds us that the tongue, though small, can steer an entire life like a rudder on a ship. That imagery, I want you to picture that. That imagery matters. A small shift in words, posture, or tone can alter someone's trajectory. Hard conversations are often directional moments. They shape how willing someone is to take risks, speak up, admit mistakes, or lead boldly in the future. When leaders underestimate this, they intentionally treat defining moments like routine meetings. And people internalize far more than leaders ever intend. One of the most common leadership blind spots is assuming resolution equals closure. Resolution means the issue is addressed. Closure means the person has processed the impact. Those are not the same thing. Leaders often walk out of hard conversations feeling relieved. Because I got to tell you, when you walk out of a hard conversation as a leader, The tension's gone. The words were said. The meeting is over. But if you've ever been on the opposite side, which I would expect most leaders have, they've been on that opposite side of the leader speaking to them as the employee. I don't know about you, but employees often walk out feeling exposed. They replay that conversation not because they're resistant or defensive, but because they're trying to understand how they are now seen. This is where leaders often misread silence as acceptance. We see Jesus model a different approach. In John 6, after Jesus delivers a very hard teaching, Scripture tells us that many disciples walked away. Jesus noticed. He did not minimize it either. He turned to his 12 and asked them, "Do you want to leave too?" Guys, this was not from insecurity. This was awareness. Jesus understood that truth creates crossroads. He did not assume alignment. He acknowledged the weight of the moment and invited conversation. Hard conversations create internal decision points for people. Great leaders recognize that and stay present instead of rushing to move on. Silence after a hard conversation is rarely experienced as rest. It's experienced as judgment. When leaders go quiet, employees don't interpret that as space. They interpret it as evaluation. They will wonder, and I know this from firsthand experience because I have walked through this before. Am I being watched? Am I still trusted? Did I fail this leader? Did I fail the company? Is my future here uncertain? Even when none of that is true, people will always fill silence with fear if leaders do not fill it with presence. Genesis gives us one of the clearest leadership contrasts. After Adam and Eve fail, God did not withdraw. He did not cancel the relationship with them. He did not avoid the moment. He came looking for them. Where are you? That question was not about location. God already knew. It was about connection. Leaders who disappear after correction unintentionally teach people to hide. Leaders who pursue after correction teach people to grow. Presence after truth is what turns correction into transformation. So let's be honest here. Directness alone is not leadership. Anyone can be blunt. Anyone can point out what is wrong. Leadership is revealed in what happens after courage. There's a difference between being direct and being discipling. Directness says, here's the issue. Discipleship says, I'm staying with you while you grow. The story of the woman caught in adultery shows this balance with extraordinary clarity, my friends. Jesus did not excuse the behavior. He does not soften the truth, but he protects dignity before he corrects direction. Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. Correction without condemnation. Direction without destruction. If people leave hard conversations feeling crushed instead of strengthened, the leadership was incomplete, even if the truth was accurate. And that might be a hard pill to swallow. And this is where you really have to step back as a leader sometimes and ask yourself, are my employees feeling crushed right now instead of feeling empowered? And if that's the opposite, you need to take a look at yourself as a leader. And that is hard. I totally get it. It's hard to look at ourselves sometimes. Friends, courage without care creates fear, but courage paired with care creates growth. So let's talk about follow-up. Follow-up is a trust signal, okay? It's not micromanagement. Follow-up is reassurance. It communicates. I remember what we talked about. I care about your growth. This conversation mattered to me. As your leader, you are not alone after this correction. Ezekiel 34 confronts leaders not for failing to identify problems, but for failing to strengthen what was weakened. Hard conversations weaken people temporarily, even when they're necessary, even when they are fair. Follow-up is how leaders restore the strength. It does not require perfection, my friends. It requires presence. Consistency over time builds far more trust than intensity in a single moment. People trust leaders whose behavior matches their words. Guys, practice what you preach, okay? So let's talk about Stewarding the weight of leadership. Leadership, it always comes with weight. Jesus reminds us in Luke 12, from everyone who has been given much, much will be demanded. Authority is not just a permission to confront. It's responsibility to care. Hard conversations are stewardship moments. They ask leaders, will you stay engaged? Will you be consistent? Will you protect trust? Will you lead beyond the moment? Managers correct behavior. Leaders shape people. And shaping people requires patience, courage, and consistency long before the conversation ends. So throughout Scripture, correction is never isolated from restoration. Truth is spoken directly, but it is followed up by presence, guidance, and reaffirmed purpose. Paul reminds us in Ephesians 4, speaking the truth in love, we will grow. Truth without love wounds. Love without truth confuses. Growth requires both. Leadership has always been about shepherding, not just confronting. Before you go today, let me leave you with this. Hard conversations are not interruptions to leadership. They are invitations to it. They reveal who we are under pressure, how we steward influence, and whether we lead for control or we lead for growth. If you're willing to speak truth, you must also be willing to carry it, to stay present, to follow through, to lead beyond the moment. Because leadership is not measured by what you say when things are easy. It's revealed by how faithfully you steward people when things are hard. I want to challenge you to step into that responsibility this week. Lead with clarity, lead with courage, and lead in a way that people can grow under. If today's episode resonated with you and you're realizing that leadership requires more clarity, more courage, and more consistency than you've been operating with, I want to invite you into something deeper. The Clarity Code is my new leadership bootcamp designed to help you slow down, get clear, and lead with confidence when conversations are hard, decisions are heavy, and people are counting on you. This isn't about fixing everyone else. It's about strengthening how you lead so your words, your presence, and your follow-through actually build trust. If you're ready to step into leadership with greater clarity and conviction, I'd love for you to join us inside the Clarity Code. Link is found in the show notes. And if leadership clearly has been encouraging or grounding for you, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. We release new episodes every Monday to help you start your week off with clarity, encouragement, and strong leadership perspective. And finally, if you know a leader who's navigating hard conversations or just carrying a lot right now, please share this episode with them. Leadership was never meant to be done alone. I'm glad you're here. Keep leading well. I'll see you next week.